I'd like to talk about Santoor Suite. Santoor Suite. What are your associations with that title? Please, feel free to put down in the comments section what were your first thoughts when you read or heard the title. I think it would make a great title for a novel, maybe a detective story. In fact, it is a harpsichord piece by Patrick John Jones. I am Medea Bindewald. I'm a harpsichordist. I have recorded the piece and this is a brief introduction. The santoor is a traditional Indian instrument. It's a kind of hammered dulcimer, and the piece Santoor Suite alludes to sound similarities between the harpsichord and the santoor. It also includes elements of both Indian raga performances and the Baroque dance suite. The piece has been written in 2012 for the harpsichordist Jane Chapman, who was also the first one to perform it. It has also been recorded by Mahan Esfahani for the CD Shadow Journey, which is this CD here. This was a result of a competition organized by the British Harpsichord Society, a composers' competition for contemporary harpsichord repertoire. Patrick Jones has revised the piece in 2016, and my recording of the piece uses the revised score. So if you've got, and if you know the CD and then listen to my video performance, please don't get confused, the piece has changed considerably since. So what's this all about? It is a 4-minute piece. It uses the full range of a 5-octave double manual harpsichord, and it sets off as a sound piece that then gradually develops more and more of rhythmic momentum. It starts with a 4-note pattern like this. Which we could refer to as an F major chord plus a B flat. So it is a major triad that includes not just the third but also the fourth. And in this case, all the notes are being held. It's not like in the Baroque context, the fourth would have been treated as a dissonance and then had to be resolved into the third. Here it's those 4 notes coexisting. And I'd like to bring your attention to the fact that the piece also ends with exactly those 4 notes, with a pattern made of these 4 notes. I'm saying this because it can easily be missed. The end of the piece is a little abrupt. The piece has several sections or movements which flow into each other seamlessly, so you won't necessarily notice that a new movement has started, except for that the musical texture changes. For example, the very beginning is inspired by unmeasured preludes, for example, of Louis Couperin, and also it includes references to the alap from the Indian raga music. Please don't ask me anything in particular about Indian music. I'm not an expert. The middle section of the piece uses an extensive amount of tremolo between the 2 manuals, which creates a sense of sustain and also brings up the association of having sympathetic strings resonating. And in the last section of the piece, you will hear a bass ostinato of 7 notes, which is this one here. And I think this is basically what I wanted to tell you about the structure of this piece. Let me conclude with the challenges in learning this piece, because I admit that I had really underestimated the effort needed to bring this piece to a performance. And there are several reasons for this. One is, and that's something that it has in common with a lot of, contemporary repertoire that we've got to learn without having that frame of tonality. So what I was actually struggling with was the lack of ear control. So if I play a Baroque piece, my ear tells me whether this is wrong or right, or whether it's more likely or less likely in the connection of harmonies or in the way the voices are treated. Here I had to build up and teach my ear what it should perceive as being the correct version of this piece. So it took a little bit longer to adjust to that. Another challenge actually was learning that tremolo technique, which doesn't, necessarily, it's not representing a part of my playing technique. I've only used it once in Soler's Fandango to, when I played it, stylistically incorrect, on a double manual harpsichord, in order to create those kind of guitar-like effects of, quick repeated notes. But for learning Santoor suite, I actually had to really develop my muscles and learn this movement of tremolo. So that took some time. Lastly, the last section in the piece is characterized by a lot of polyrhythmic notation. So you've got to play 7 notes against 4, or you spot some triplet patterns in there, and it's really difficult to take in at first. So I had to work it out and really, mathematically think it through before then eventually coming to that really free performing of 2 independent parts that do not really refer to each other. This freedom, by the way, is what the composer had in mind. So it's not about placing the notes really exact, measuring it out. It's giving both parts and both hands the space to play their own lines completely independently, which in a way is something that I'm quite used to from playing harpsichord music. But seeing it written down is, for me, I'm not so familiar with the polyrhythmic notation. So that's it from my side. I hope you are curious now to listen to the piece. I will put the link to the video into the description of this video and also into the comments in the comment section. And then I thank you for watching.